Ellen DeGeneres reportedly left the United States shortly before the Epstein documents were officially made public. At the same time, Katt Williams has begun speaking out, claiming there may have been a link between her and Ghislaine Maxwell. According to these claims, Epstein had an individual operating within Hollywood, and recent reports suggest that Ellen may have been connected to that role.
Her stories have changed so many times about what happens, when it happens, how it happens, with different versions. And each time she speaks, there's a different version.
That is from the documentary that's just aired in the United States. That's come just off the satellite. For more, we're joined by US broadcaster Cooper Lawrence to dissect it. What did you make of Ghislaine Maxwell?
Reminded me of nobody taught me how to curtsy and I didn't inhale. There was a lot of this evidence that came out during the trial that suddenly she's like, no, it's fake. I mean, during the trial, they showed her that photo and she said, yeah, that's me. That's my apartment. I recognize it. And, you know, it was one of the things that indicted her. Now suddenly it's a fake photo.
On June 28, 2022, Ghislaine Maxwell received a 20-year sentence in federal prison for working with Jeffrey Epstein in a scheme involving the exploitation of minors, along with being ordered to pay a $750,000 fine. When authorities took her into custody, she was reportedly acting as a recruiter for Epstein, assisting him in finding additional victims. She was ultimately found guilty on 5 charges tied to her involvement in recruiting and transporting underage girls for abuse between 1994 and 2004. Around that same period, Ellen DeGeneres ended her talk show following claims of a toxic work environment and then largely stepped out of the public eye.
DeGeneres and her wife Portia de Rossi have reportedly fled the US, bound for the UK, after Donald Trump's landslide victory. Numerous publications are reporting the couple have left the United States permanently. There are also reports the couple have put their Montecito mansion on the market. Entertainment publication The Wrap has the exclusive story and said, Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market, and plan to never return to the United States, telling friends the election of Donald Trump was their primary motivation. Ellen DeGeneres has been a vocal Trump critic, so the move doesn't come as a surprise to most.
Losing their mind.
She sounded so sincere, didn't she?
Very
she could
sincere.
Virtually choke on her words. But the best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia.
Bit of
could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her. But she was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Well, this is why I say release the Diddy files.
Yeah,
so files. Come on, Donald Trump, we want to know whose name.
So maybe she's hightailing out of there before all that is thrown at her as well. But what a bunch of...
Some might still view these events as unrelated. However, attention has also been drawn to the passing of Stephen Twitch Boss, a close colleague of Ellen DeGeneres, which happened around the same time. Reports note that his death occurred roughly 2 months after Ellen relocated to the UK and noticeably changed her appearance. Twitch, who served as an executive producer on her show, died by suicide. According to claims about a note he left behind, he expressed that he could no longer remain involved in what he described as a troubling industry and apologized for disappointing others. While no specific details were included, the message reportedly mentioned feelings of pressure and regret over not speaking out sooner.
We're learning more tonight about the tragic side of Stephen Twitch Boss and the detailed steps he took to hide his plans. TMZ is reporting when Twitch left his home the day before he took an Uber to a motel about a mile away. At the motel, he switched his phone to airplane mode so no one could reach him. The motel manager says he checked in under his own name and never left his room. We also now know that Twitch left a suicide note. Details have not been made public, but TMZ reports the note alluded to challenges Twitch had faced in the past. Entertainer Tyler Perry knows firsthand what that is like.
I want to take you back to a time in my life where I tried to commit suicide a couple of times because it was so dark. I thought the only way to make this better, this pain go away, is to end my life. Had any of those attempts happened, I would have missed the best.
Some argue these events aren't random at all. They point out that Ellen ended her show not long after Ghislaine Maxwell received her sentence, suggesting she may have stepped away out of concern about being linked to the situation. Katt Williams has also claimed that very little in Hollywood happens by chance, reinforcing that perspective. From this viewpoint, walking away from a program generating massive annual revenue wouldn't happen without a serious reason, and they believe fear may have played a role in her decision.
Type of ratings we need and attention to be on this thing. See, what I'm saying is, in business, nothing is coincidental, or you would be hearing who's losing money. In all of these situations, it's only the artist that's losing. Somebody makes big money. When these rappers get killed, not incidental. Somebody made $100 million and now don't have to talk to that artist or none of their crew, don't have to validate none of their contracts. Now only got to deal with the mama, only got to see her once a year, and it's over. And the money goes up and up and up. So they killed this $20 million guy, but they reaped $60 million in benefits.
Wow.
And they had some people from your city do it.
Wow.
I'm saying there's the good side and the bad side of these businesses.
But think about what you just think about what you just said. That's extremely thoughtful and powerful. It could only be what it was if it were those two. Those two, yes. Will Smith and Chris Rock. It could only be what it has been, yes. With those two black men.
If you put any other names together, the police are out on stage, they've cut to commercial, you didn't see what happened. By the time they come out, people have been removed, it goes on. It's certain ways things are handled when it's not intentional. When things go smoothly, but they seem chaotic, that means there was forethought and a plan. Somebody, even if it looks like, yeah, Janet Jackson just had a wardrobe malfunction. Yeah, there's no such thing.
Correct.
I don't care who you blame.
I believe that.
Somebody benefited. Yeah. So in all of these situations, there's a business involved and there's real money involved, and somebody's benefiting from this thing that looks like, oh, that just happened. Nah, no way. No way.
As additional Epstein-related documents continue to surface, some viewers have started re-examining past episodes of Ellen's show and drawing comparisons between certain on-air jokes and the activities linked to Epstein's private island. For instance, references in legal filings have been interpreted by some as involving controversial topics like genetics, reproduction, and long-term legacy projects, with figures such as billionaire Peter Nygaard also mentioned in related discussions. Because of this, some people are now revisiting segments from Ellen's program and questioning how certain themes presented there might connect to those broader claims.
Let's talk about this facial that you're obsessed with. How many, did you get the whole cast of Ocean's 8 to do
Not
this?
Everybody.
Okay, good, smart ones.
Just those that I thought would appreciate it.
Okay, explain what it is.
Well, it's this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these, I think many of you know it, and it pushes through the skin and ruptures the collagen and then boosts it. You look like a burn victim for a day, but then it pushes the
What are you pushing into the skin, Sandra?
Sarah?
Perry? What are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a...
Some commentators have extended these claims beyond a single individual, suggesting that multiple public figures were involved in presenting similar ideas, and that the entertainment industry may have played a role in making such topics seem more acceptable. One example often mentioned is a March 20, 2016 interview where Steve Harvey spoke with Emmy-winning NBC host Michelle Park. During that segment, she discussed a well-known anti-aging product associated with Oprah Winfrey and the brand SkinMedica. The company states that its formula involves fibroblasts originally derived from neonatal foreskin, which are used in laboratory settings to help develop skincare ingredients. These details have fueled speculation online, with some theorists connecting the use of such materials in the skincare industry to broader claims about elite practices and the pursuit of maintaining youth.
On your hand.
I do that. Oprah did.
Yeah, Oprah did it. All right, so here, we're going to rub it right in.
How come it's red?
I'll show you in a sec, Steve. So this is made from growth hormones of human.
Look, the wrinkles has just disappeared. I can't even ball my hand up.
So it's made from human foreskin. I'm sorry, Steve.
You done sat up here and squirted somebody's private parts in my damn hair. What you laughing at?
I'm sorry.
This your last time on the show. This your last time.
Some reports also reference journalist Chris Hansen, noting that during his coverage of Epstein, he explored similar allegations and suggested there may have been more involved than just the widely reported crimes tied to the case. Additionally, certain interpretations of emails released by the U.S. Department of Justice claim that Epstein showed interest in ideas related to genetic engineering, including the collection of biological material from minors. According to these claims, such materials were supposedly intended to be developed into treatments that could be shared with associates, with a suggestion that they might have anti-aging effects.
Billionaire freakazoid. Yes. And part of his deal, he's in prison in jail up in Canada, waiting, charges all over the globe. But his deal was that he would allegedly impregnate young women in the Bahamas, where he had a huge home, and then have them get abortions and harvest their stem cells of the fetuses to inject in himself as the fountain of youth. And we get into this in that documentary. And was Epstein involved in that sort of activity? I don't know.
That's where, and again, we just have to look at what we have and know what we don't yet.
Yeah.
But it's a question.
Yeah,
when you look at the context of the jerky stuff.
Yeah, and when you look at what other billionaire guys have done, were they in contact somehow? I mean, obviously, there are some people who are in the concentric circles of associates.
Katt Williams also addressed these topics during an appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience, where he spoke about power structures within the entertainment industry. He claimed that certain influential figures use their positions to funnel young men and women toward other high-profile individuals. In his remarks, he specifically pointed to names like Sean Diddy Combs and Jeffrey Epstein as central figures in that alleged network.
That's why those one world people exist, because it's a very powerful concept to have and far too lucrative and beneficial to not. Everybody is a supplier. Epstein, Weinstein, like these guys knew what these extremists liked and provided it, and provided the way for you to to have $1 billion and not create a fantasy island type environment has not existed throughout history.
Some supporters of these ideas also highlight what they believe to be subtle symbolism within Ellen's show, interpreting it as an effort to make certain controversial themes seem more acceptable, particularly in relation to what has been alleged about Epstein's activities. Katt Williams has also claimed that he was once approached to take part in this kind of environment. In a recent conversation with Theo Vaughn, he described being surprised by the level of influence Harvey Weinstein held. According to his account, Weinstein allegedly suggested he could arrange access to well-known actresses, who were said to be available at any time. In exchange, Williams claimed he was expected to remain quiet and assist in bringing more young people into that circle. From this perspective, critics argue that aspiring entertainers, especially models, actors, and even minors, can be particularly vulnerable. Some believe this system was exposed early on by those who spoke out, pointing to Epstein as someone who operated as a recruiter himself. However, they argue it would have been impossible for him to act alone, suggesting a wider network of individuals who helped identify and manipulate targets. Ghislaine Maxwell is often described as one of those recruiters, but many believe others were never identified or charged. Her case gained attention largely due to the scale of her involvement, as she was found guilty of bringing numerous underage victims to Epstein. Reports from victims describe how she would approach individuals facing difficult circumstances, presenting Epstein as someone willing to help. Several accounts emphasize that she allegedly took advantage of vulnerable moments, using personal struggles as leverage to pressure victims into situations they did not want to be in.
She had no remorse in her voice. Ghislaine has no soul. And you know yourself what I've been through trying to take her down. And the reason why I've had to go through that is because she's a dangerous human being. She will reoffend, and reoffend. These people never stop, ever.
So you were spot.
Some believe Epstein's death prevented further revelations, arguing that key information may never come to light. They claim this has limited how much the public can learn about any powerful figures who may have been connected to him. Reports and speculation have circulated suggesting that hundreds of influential individuals had some form of association with Epstein, though the extent and nature of those connections remain widely debated. There have also been references to large volumes of documents, many heavily redacted, that allegedly contain additional details. According to these claims, only a portion of the recovered material has been made public, leading some to question what else might still be undisclosed.
Fox News alert: the Department of Justice just dropped last month's jailhouse interview with Epstein Madam Ghislaine Maxwell. And it's a doozy. First, she doesn't think Epstein killed himself.
So you think he did not die by suicide, given all the things we just talked about?
I do not believe he died by suicide. No.
And do you believe that, do you have any speculation or view of who?
No, I don't.
And what about Epstein's infamous client list? Did he even have a list?
You never observed, or you never saw any sort of list or black book or a list of individuals who, linked to certain masseuses or
Absolutely
anything
no.
like that?
Absolutely no. There is no list. I'm not aware of any blackmail. I never heard that. I never saw it, and I never imagined it.
The list doesn't exist? So flight manifests don't exist? The surveillance tapes don't exist? The bank records don't exist? Well, what about Trump? The media spent the last couple months trying to smear him as Epstein's predator pal.
I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance. I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting. I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects.
And did you ever hear Mr. Epstein or anybody say that President Trump had done anything inappropriate with masseuses or with anybody in your world?
Absolutely never. In any context.
A good portion of the interview focused on Bill Clinton. Author Daniel Halper told Primetime Clinton was romantically involved with Maxwell. Would Ghislaine sell out her old flame? And she was asked about Bill and said he never did anything inappropriate and that Bill never went to Epstein's island.
Some online discussions also claim that certain whistleblowers, including Katt Williams, have faced pressure or pushback for speaking publicly about the entertainment industry. In those conversations, Williams is sometimes quoted as suggesting that powerful figures within the industry are aware of him and that he has to be cautious about what he says moving forward. These claims are often shared in online spaces as part of broader narratives about influence, control, and accountability in Hollywood, though they remain widely debated and not independently verified.
Infiltrate the Illuminati. Find out what the fuck they got going on. Get the information. Run back to y'all. Tell y'all everything I know. That's my motherfucking job. But I don't know how many more times I'm going to be able to sneak in there. Thanks to Shannon Sharp and 90 million views, I can't sneak very often. So while I was in there this last time, knowing that my last report might be my last report. I went in there and I got information for everybody. Look at my white friends. Us too? That's right, white secret.
Some documents released by the U.S. Department of Justice have included emails attributed to Jeffrey Epstein that reference interactions involving individuals described as victims, and have been interpreted by some as showing communication with other well-connected figures. However, many of these materials do not explicitly identify third parties, and sensitive details are often removed or obscured. A significant portion of the broader investigative record has also been partially redacted, which is standard practice in legal and law enforcement disclosures to protect privacy, ongoing investigative methods, and sensitive personal information. Because of these redactions and the limited scope of publicly released materials, many details remain unclear, which has led to ongoing speculation and debate about what additional information may exist within the full set of files.
Question: which one do you prefer, lewd and lascivious conduct or procuring minors for prostitution? I suppose lewd and lascivious conduct. I would prefer lewd and lascivious conduct with a prostitute if possible. That exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell on May 23, 2008 is part of some 18,000 emails from Epstein's personal Yahoo account obtained by Bloomberg News.
The emails, which suggest the inbox was most active between 2005 and 2008, include messages spanning 2002 to 2022. Epstein died in 2019, and endemails received after that are largely spam or marketing offers. Overall, the emails offer a raw look into the disgraced financier and sex offender's world.
While this inbox wasn't the only one he used, the newly uncovered emails do suggest how central Maxwell was to his life, something that contradicts her telling of events. She's characterized herself as a former girlfriend and property manager for Epstein, not someone with eyes into his vast influence machine or sex trafficking operation. She's currently serving a 20-year sentence for conspiring with Epstein to sexually abuse minors. Maxwell was central to curating Epstein's inner circle, according to these emails. In some emails, she's organizing visits with the likes of Sergey Brin and his then-girlfriend
Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted for her role in assisting Jeffrey Epstein in the sexual abuse of minors, is currently serving a 20-year federal prison sentence in the United States. She was later transferred to a lower security facility after initial placement in a higher security prison, a move that is sometimes made within the federal system based on classification reviews, behavior, and security assessments. Allegations about her day-to-day conditions in custody, including claims about special privileges or her personal behavior toward other inmates or victims, come primarily from media reports, anonymous accounts, and public commentary, and are not all independently verified in official records. Victims of Epstein's abuse have testified publicly, including in court and before lawmakers, describing the long-term emotional and psychological impact of what they experienced. Their statements have played a central role in the legal proceedings and public understanding of the case.
I know for a fact she's getting special treatment.
Les Trent spoke to Sam Mangle, a prison consultant who has 3 clients at the same facility as Maxwell, the Bryan Federal Prison Camp in Texas.
Whether it's access to a laptop computer, which is unheard of, to visits where they lock down the camp and no one can leave their bunks while she's having visitors.
Allegations of other perks, according to the New York Times, include meals being delivered to her cell and being served bottled water while other inmates drink tap water, playing with service dogs, showering alone, and watching TV alone in staff-only areas. They even provided her with an umbrella to shade her from the hot Texas sun while she took her daily walks.
She's been given the freedom and liberties that the other inmates do not have.
Last July, Maxwell was moved from a medium security prison in Florida to the minimum security camp in Texas. This followed her meeting with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. According to reports, fellow inmates at the facility were threatened with solitary confinement or transferred to a tougher penitentiary if they voiced complaints about Maxwell's perks.
They've been told from the day she got there, do not discuss her, do not put anything in writing, do not talk about her on the phone, do not make any trouble regarding Ms. Maxwell, or we will move you.
As more documents are released and additional voices come forward, Many believe this story is still unfolding. If you want to keep up with future developments as they emerge, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and enable notifications so you don't miss any updates. Share your thoughts in the comments below.